This is Robert Knowles in London, England, 7 February 1587. I am with the press corps that follows Queen Elizabeth I. Over the past several days, Her Majesty has apparently been wrestling with some rumors that Queen Mary, an appointed queen, has committed what many are calling acts of treason. Her Highness has signed a death warrant for her cousin due to those charges. The warrant was signed almost a week ago.
Yes, hello there. February 7th and 8th, 1587. Northamptonshire, England, the last day of the life of Queen Mary, Scotland.
This is Jeff Franklin, reporting from Fotheringhay Castle in Northamptonshire, England. We have learned that Queen Elizabeth signed the death warrant for Mary, her cousin and the former Queen of Scotland, 6 days ago on the 1st of February 1587 on charges of treason. Depending on whom you believe, this has been a long time coming. It is speculated that the issues between Queens Elizabeth and Mary started some 18 years ago when Mary married another of her cousins, Henry Stuart, Lord Darnley. Since both Mary and Henry Stuart were both in line for the English and Scottish thrones, Elizabeth must have seen this as a threat to her own legitimacy to the English throne. Those flames of concern were further fanned when Henry was murdered under suspicious circumstances, and Mary was forced to abdicate her throne to her young son, James VI. Elizabeth, hearing of Mary's plight and concerned for her own throne, placed Mary in protective custody when Mary sought protection from Elizabeth after escaping to England. The following is a clip of Mary at court last October.
I stand here in full defiance of the charges that have been brought against me. I would never plot against my cousin Elizabeth, the anointed Queen of England. I also challenge that as a queen in my own right, what authority does England have to put me on trial in a country of which I am not a citizen? What gives England the right to sit in judgment of me for something I am not a part of, nor would ever condone?
The plot in question came with the February 1585 conviction of William Parry, who tried to assassinate Elizabeth I. In the proceedings, it came to light that Thomas Morgan, an agent of Mary, knew about the assassination attempt, but somehow Mary herself had no knowledge of the plan. To add another plot in the mix, Mary was embroiled in the Babington plot, in which Anthony Babington and John Ballard, among others, were secretly plotting to assassinate Protestant Queen Elizabeth and to replace her with Queen Mary, who was Catholic. They cited a papal bull by Pope Pius V, which stated that English Catholics were given authority to overthrow the monarchy of England, to restore Catholic rulers as their reasoning for such endeavors. Mary is reported to have sent a letter to the two men expressing her consent in the efforts to assassinate Elizabeth.
I'm in London, waiting to speak to Queen Elizabeth's spymaster, Sir Francis Walsingham. Walsingham is the man that intercepted and decoded the letters that helped convict Mary of treason.
Hello, sir. What can I do for you?
It's our understanding that you were the one that deciphered the letters that helped convict Queen Mary in her trial last October.
First of all, she is not a queen. She is a former queen. She abdicated almost 2 decades ago in favor of her son, James VI. Second, yes, I am the one that intercepted the notes that Mary Stuart had tried to get to her conspirators. She trusted me to get her letters out safely, and I did. Safely to Queen Elizabeth to show what kind of woman she had been protecting for years. We have proof that she has conspired with many parties to overthrow Her Majesty Elizabeth. We know of at least 4 times she was implicated in the removal of Queen Elizabeth from the throne, presumably to elevate herself to that position. The Duke of Norfolk was executed for his attempt to work with the Spanish to replace Elizabeth with Mary. It just continues. Even her son, King James VI of Scotland, has turned against Mary Stuart. The letters in question helped solve the issue once and for all. It proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that foreign powers the Catholic Church, and Mary Stuart have all worked together to destroy the monarchy of England. It will not be tolerated anymore, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Sir Francis Walsingham. We now return to Jeff Franklin.
Thank you, Robert. I have been with Queen Mary since her move to Chartley around Christmas of 1585. This is with the permission of Queen Elizabeth. Mary has shared many things with me over the past year and a half. I want to share with you a letter that she read to me before she sent it to Queen Elizabeth.
Dearest cousin Elizabeth, I have tried many times to show you that I have no personal interest in the throne of England. Last year, I even tried to make arrangements with my son, King James VI, to set up an alliance with him. I pledged to stay in England, renounce the Pope and his excommunication of you. Above all, to abandon any thoughts I have of being Queen of England. I would do that cheerfully. I simply want the freedom to be allowed to live my life away from your protective custody that I have suffered these many years. Even with my possessions and entourage, both of which you have graciously allowed me to maintain, I feel that I am a prisoner in this country. I wish it to end. Pray tell me, what would I need to do to end my suffering? Please, your cousin, Mary.
That letter apparently fell on deaf ears in the court in London. Queen Mary got no response from Elizabeth, or at least none that she has shared with anyone outside her entourage. We now return you to Robert Knowles in London.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm standing with Her Highness Queen Elizabeth. Your Majesty, what can you tell us about the death warrant you signed for Mary Stuart?
I can tell you, Robert, is it? I can tell you that I've been pressured by Parliament to execute Mary since last October. The very concept of killing a queen, even a former one, gives me a lot of pause. Ask yourself, what would happen? For some reason, her son James goes against the alliance he has signed with me because I executed his mother. What keeps James from forming another alliance with the powers of the Catholic Church and of Europe to invade England? I cannot take the chance. I have no love left for Mary. She is a convicted criminal. She was convicted of treason for trying to usurp me as Queen of England. She is getting old. She is suffering from something in her limbs that makes her usually unable to walk. But she is still the mother of the King of Scotland, a nation that has been, over the years, both ally and enemy. I really want the whole thing to be over, but not with the execution of Mary.
So what do you see as a possible good outcome to this?
I'm not entirely sure that there is such a thing. She has plotted with the enemies of England to overthrow me, so I can't really see a way out of this.
Thank you, Your Highness. That was Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I of England. Now back to Jeff Franklin.
To give more context to what is going on, I wish to play another clip from Mary's trial for treason.
I beg of you, my jurors, to look to your consciences and remember the theater of this whole world is wider than the kingdom of England. While you may see this trial as fair, I do not. Never have I been allowed the common decency to see the evidence against me. Never have I been allowed legal counsel to refute these ridiculous charges. And again, having never been a subject of the English monarchy, nor ever a citizen, how could I possibly be tried for treason?
Queen Mary has expressed her innocence since before she was put on trial. Oh, wait a minute. Someone is coming this way. It appears to be a messenger.
Mary Stuart, having been duly convicted of treason by a court of noblemen, you are hereby notified that you will be executed on the morrow morning. This is under the order of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I of England. May God have mercy on your soul.
Queen Mary is standing in utter shock of the news that she just received. No one was sure if and when it would ever happen, but tonight is, barring any change of mind by Queen Elizabeth, the last night of the life of Mary Stuart.
This is Richard Simpson in Madrid. I am here with Philip II, King of Spain, Portugal, Naples and Sicily, and widowed husband of the former Queen of England, Mary I. He has called together the press corps to give a speech about the pending execution of Queen Mary of Scotland. He is stepping up to the press corps now.
Members of the press and people of all nations that follow the one true faith, Catholicism. I am here to make sure that it is well known that any acts against our Catholic sister, Mary of Scotland, will not be tolerated. I want it known that by the authority invested in me by Pope Pius V, I will do anything in my power to remove that vile witch, supposed Queen Elizabeth of England, from her ill-gotten throne, and will return to power and a king that will put England back in the path of the one true faith. England, as far as I am concerned, is a heathen country, not deserving of the title nation. If the rumored execution of Mary occurs, then the heathen Elizabeth will find herself on the losing end of the battle of faith. Women have no place in power. Heathen women have no place even in a civilized world. As the widowed husband of the one true Queen of England, I will take my place as king, a place I once occupied. And Elizabeth, her band of heathens, and anyone that opposes the one true faith, will be treated like the godless animals they are. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. May God bless us all.
There you have it. Philip II has basically declared war on England, especially if Queen Mary is executed. King Philip II has never liked Protestant England. While he was king consort of Mary I of England, he and his wife led a crusade against all non-Catholic peoples in the nation. Heresy brought the deaths of quite a number of people in England. It is not a secret that Mary, Queen of Scots, is a devout Catholic, especially after having been brought up in Catholic France from the age of 5 and marrying the Dauphin of France, Francis, who would become King Francis II. We now return to Robert Knowles in London to get the reaction of Queen Elizabeth.
Thank you, Richard. Queen Elizabeth was made aware of the words of Philip II as they were spoken in Madrid. Even with the excessive amount of white makeup she wears, all of us could see her face turning red with anger. Her Highness was very unhappy with King Philip's speech. Wait a minute, Queen Elizabeth wishes to speak with us.
Greetings to the people, my people of England. As many of you have heard, this nation, and me in particular, are being threatened by the Catholic nations of Europe, especially by the monarch of Spain. I have tried to give the Catholics in England more freedom than did my father, King Henry VIII. Whilst myself am not Catholic, I have not clamped down upon the faith, but will in no way allow myself to be removed as the rightful ruler of England by some delusional men, whether either in Madrid or Rome. It is that kind of power-hungry behaviour that has caused my father, Henry VIII, to cast the Catholic faith aside. As of right now, even though there is a death warrant for my cousin, Mary, who is currently being held in Fotheringhay, I have made it quite clear that her execution is not to occur until I explicitly say so, which I have not allowed to this point. But she has been tried and found guilty of an attempt on my life. It is my belief that as Queen herself, she is above the possibility of execution. I will not, in good conscience, commit regicide. If I were to allow Mary to be executed, then my position of Queen of this great nation could be questioned as well. That will not be allowed to happen. As of today, the 17th of February, in the year of our Lord 1587, Mary, former Queen of France and Scotland, will not be executed, per my orders. Philip has been after the throne of England since he held the job of King Consort under my sister, Mary. He tried to take the throne by proposing marriage to me after Mary died. I didn't give him my throne then, and I will not now. He deludes himself if he believes he should control the world. He tries to get this nation's Catholics riled up against me. If Philip and the other Catholic monarchs of Europe care to declare war upon us because they feel we have lost our faith, let them do their best. This country has not been invaded in over 500 years, and it won't be, as far as I am concerned, under my watch. Also, any threats by Philip will be returned in kind. If he and this nation's Catholics want to insist on causing problems for me and my people, then so be it. It will not end well for those that try. That is all.
That was Queen Elizabeth I of England, announcing the execution of Mary, Queen of Scots, is not scheduled, even though she herself issued the death warrant a week ago. This goes in the face of what was reported by Jeff Franklin. Mary Stuart has been told that she is to be executed in the morning. We are not sure what is going on.
There is hammering going on in the Great Hall here at Fotheringhay. Scaffolding is being built for the execution of Mary Stuart, even though the Queen herself stated that no such execution is scheduled. Mary has been spending the last few hours praying and writing her will. She also has apparently written a letter to the King of France. Now she is getting her personal belongings in order, passing them out among her entourage.
Excuse me, sir. I know you have been with my entourage for the past year and a half, but I have never learned your name.
Jeff Franklin, Your Highness.
Not Your Highness anymore, just Mary. I want to thank you for being here as long as you have. You aren't on my payroll, are you?
No, ma'am.
Shame. You have been with me more than most people I pay to stay with me. I want you to have a small token of my appreciation. It's not much, but you've earned it.
No, ma'am.
Now, to give the rest of my possessions away and make my peace with God. I may even try to get some rest.
Thank you, ma'am.
I am here with William Davison, a member of the Privy Council. It is reported he was entrusted with Mary Stuart's death warrant.
Yes. Her Highness gave me the warrant upon her signing it. I took it to the Privy Council. There were 10 members summoned by Lord Birdley, William Cecil, to make sure that Mary Stuart's execution was accomplished as soon as possible. We are under the impression that Queen Elizabeth is well aware of the Privy Council's orders.
Even though not long ago she stated that she knew nothing about the execution?
If she doesn't know, then there is a problem, but I can't honestly believe that Cecil would act without the knowledge of Queen Elizabeth.
Thank you, William Davison.
We are now leaving the quarters of Mary Stuart and entering the Great Hall here at Fotheringhay. The scaffolding is draped in black cloth. It contains a block, a cushion for Mary to kneel on, and 3 stools. It is my understanding that 1 stool is for Mary, the other 2 are for witnesses. It appears that the witnesses for this execution are to be the Earl of Shrewsbury, George Talbot, and the Earl of Kent, Henry Grey.
Lady, please forgive me for what I have to do here.
I forgive you with all my heart. For now, I hope you shall make an end to all of my troubles.
Mary's servants are now removing her outer garments. Mary is wearing a velvet petticoat with sleeves in crimson brown. They are traditionally the colors of martyrdom in the Catholic Church.
Never had I had such grooms before, nor have I put off my clothes in such a company.
Mary is now kneeling, placing her head on the block.
In manus tuas Domini commendo spiritum meum.
I will not describe what I just saw with the first blow of the sword. The executioner is taking his second swing. No, I will not describe that either. But it is done. Mary Stuart, Queen of Scots, is dead.
I am here with Queen Elizabeth. She just heard the execution reported by Jeff Franklin of Mary, Queen of Scots. She is not happy. Her anger is written all over her face.
Davidson disobeyed my direct orders. The Privy Council had no authority to take it upon themselves to do this. I want Davidson here, now. I will get to the bottom of this.
This has been the execution of Mary, Queen of Scots. This presentation of History with R&R was produced, directed and edited by Robert Knowles. It was written by Richard and Paula Simpson. Today's cast included Robert Knowles as himself, Jeff Franklin as himself, Richard Simpson as himself, Samantha Joe as Mary Stuart, Queen of Scots, Loki as Walsingham, Bubba Bakri as Queen Elizabeth I, Mr. CCDB as the Messenger, Chris Knight as King Philip II of Spain, Bird of Prey 5 as William Davison, D. Jodeci as the Executioner.
How long do you suppose it will be before someone invents the barf bag?